They labelled you, some hated you, tainted you, made you feel trapped, held you back and deflated you. And who but you came to your rescue in the darkest hours when no one knew you were suffocating, drowning, tortured by shame? Is that abuse? Pain had you confused, thinking you had to remain in this state due to mistakes made by those who speak of amazing grace. So why do they cause you to feel like a disgrace? Nah. Glory, it's a funny old story, takes those who seem lost and weak, restoring them with the jewels they fail to see amidst the dusty pits of envy. Because victory is not easily gained, and to win, then you must be in the game and train to be the best, lest you forget the name written across your chest. Rise in boldness, walk with pride, be humble and loving, live your life. In the end, your song of thanksgiving, freedom and joy will drown out the outplayed sounds of those who only ever sought to destroy. A distant sound, a distant place, as you climb step by step, you elevate, realizing it's never too late to be great. It's never too late to be you. Be you.
Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Be Seen and Heard. I'm Destiny.
And I'm Fiona.
And okay, so the poem that you've just heard was written by my mum. So yeah, based on that poem, can you kind of explain what area in life you were at when you wrote that, or not when you wrote that poem, but what that poem's about?
So basically it's a poem that I wrote in reference to some of the negative comments that I received when I became a teen mom. So it kind of refers to my experience of church hurt, I guess, and then entering into the initial stages of having to redefine my own idea of who I am and who I wanted to be. So returning back to listening to my own voice, and making the decision to have my voice be heard.
Okay, yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of pre-misconceptions about teenage pregnancy, being a mom, and also just being the product of one as well. But if you would advise anyone listening, what would be the key message you would want them to take away from that poem?
I think it's the importance of discovering who you are, who you want to be, and how you want yourself to be perceived, as opposed to taking on what other people think you are, who they think you should be, and what they think you should be doing at the time that they enter into your life, or feel it's okay to speak on you and your choices. I think in a sentence, you choose who you want to be.
Yeah.
It's your life, so whatever you decide to do with it is up to you.
Yeah.
And even in unplanned instances, just not letting other people's stereotypes or assumptions about how your life is going to pan out dictate to you how that should turn out.
Yeah, I think especially with your story of being a teen mom, but everything else that you've accomplished along the way, one thing that I feel I really took from that poem, or just knowing your life story in general, is that success looks different for everyone. And it all comes down to perception, with any given scenario, because anyone could look at you being a teen mom or becoming a teen mom as something negative, whereas you've shown people how you can easily turn that into a positive, beautiful experience, but also all the lessons and things you would have gained along the way for your personal growth and development would lead you to your idea and space of success. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, just really understanding how important it is for you to allow people to see and hear your story, because someone else's failures can be another person's inspiration.
I think with hearing you say that, it makes me question how did my journey to discovering my identity affect your your journey into yours?
I think it gave me courage, if anything, because like seeing like how much adversity you would have faced just for bringing me into the world, like just for giving me an opportunity to experience life. There's like nothing I really should be afraid of doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that must have been such a scary time for you, but also you would have built up the amount of strength, resilience, and like self-validation that like most people probably won't even experience in their lifetime. And for you to be able to be comfortable, confident standing alone, I think that was like the main thing that I took and learned from your experience. So yeah, when it comes to like me pursuing creative endeavors and things like that, I know that you're obviously gaining your courage still along the way. But whereas for me, you've kind of instilled that in me from the very beginning. So yeah, like, do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there should be more of an encouragement within, I don't know, families and things like that for people to just really go for what they want.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's like in safe spaces you can feel comfortable being yourself, but then it's also like how do you navigate going into those, like finding those safe spaces, but also like the confidence to actually pursue them. So like what would you say, like what advice would you give?
I think one thing that stands out in my journey that I had to really tap into was positive speech to self. Like when nobody else is supporting you and nobody else can see your vision or has confidence in your vision or in your abilities, having that belief in yourself, and that doesn't come easy. It is a journey, but like every day, like speaking positively to yourself, turning the negatives into positives. If it's you're stupid, you'll never do anything in life, flipping that on its head and being like, you know what, actually I can do this, this and this, and with this, this and this, I can do something with my life and I will do something with my life. And setting those goals and holding yourself to those goals. It does take a lot of time building up the confidence and erasing the negative thoughts and comments, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And in the starting, it opens up the road for progression.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like not giving up on yourself, even if other people have given up on you, because it's your life. And at the end of the day, wanting the best for yourself doesn't necessarily look like what other people consider the best for you.
Yeah, because I think that is something that a lot of people struggle with, is what does success look like for them. But then also I just feel like yeah, with Be Seen and Heard, like it's really focusing on the importance of sharing your story, but knowing that your story is worthy regardless of what it looks like or the trials you've faced or the amount of mistakes you've made. And even if you're like so far from where you want to be, it's just knowing that where you are now is exactly where you should be, but it's, I don't know, I feel like it's moving with intention.
Yeah. And I think like you just don't know who's watching you.
Yeah.
You just don't know who your story is going to benefit. And whilst like obviously it kind of goes without saying like you were watching my every move and learning from me, but it doesn't just end in the household. Like I often have like small encounters with random people. Like random people will just talk to me in the streets or whatever, and you don't know what impact you leave behind from that conversation. Like just a smile or a simple hello or a kind comment can change the trajectory of like a person's day or mindset. Like it's like they say there's power in words, so just don't be afraid to be seen and heard. Like
and I think also like being comfortable leaving your mark wherever you go, like always making an impression, leaving an impression. And even if that's like as small as like we said, like just giving
it doesn't
someone
have
a
to apply a lot
smile.
of pressure.
Yeah,
Like,
giving someone a smile, or just making sure that every room that you enter and leave, you speak to someone, you get to know someone. Or even if it's as big and grand as like aiming to leave a whole legacy behind in terms of breaking generational curses and, like I said, yeah, just leaving like physical legacy. I think always striving to leave an impression
yeah, something
is so beneficial.
my mum used to say is always leave a place or a space better than you found it. And even though like she was talking about like tidiness, cleanliness, I think
Yeah.
actually if you look at it from a wider scope, it can apply to anything and everything. Like,
Yeah.
just try and show up as the best version of yourself, and even when you can't, just the best version of yourself in that day or in that moment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just don't be afraid to be yourself.
I think that's the message that we should leave on and let everyone take away is don't be afraid to be yourself, but also strive to learn who you are, because I feel like there's also quite a few people who are struggling to even know who they are, so because they won't even know where to start in terms of leaving an impression. But always seek to learn and understand yourself so that you can always be the best version of yourself and leave that mark behind. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, so just leading off of that point, like spend time with yourself. Spend time in silence, in solitude, and just think about what you like, what you don't like, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. And yeah, like I said before, I think just make goals and yeah, just
Pursue them.
pursue them.
Well, anyway, thank you guys for listening. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you've taken something away from this podcast. Stay tuned for the next episodes. Follow us on all of our social media.
Let's be seen and heard.
Bye.